Kasipul, it is the process of voting is underway already. I believe my colleague behind the lens can basically show you one of the streams here. This is Kasipul Constituency. Where we are right now is Agoro Sare polling station, Agoro Sare primary, that is serving as one of the 142 polling stations that are being used for this exercise. The lines you're seeing on your screen right now, that is one of the 7 streams that are here being used for this exercise here at Agoro Sare polling station. This is an exercise that the residents of Kasipul have been waiting actually for the last 6 months when their member of parliament died in Nairobi. And for the last 6 months, they've been waiting for a moment like this, actually for them to take to the poll to elect their next member of parliament that's going to serve them for the period remaining and up until 2027 general elections. There are 10 candidates contesting this particular seat. 4 of those candidates are contesting this seat on an independent ticket. 6 of them are sponsored by different political parties, including the Orange Party, the ODM, that are a party that is so dominant in this region. Remember, this by-election is coming on the backdrop of the death of the ODM party leader Raila Odinga. So this exercise is not just an opportunity for the locals here to take to the poll to elect their next representative in the National Assembly. This exercise is equally used as an acid test for the ODM party grip in this region here. This exercise is equally being used as a national, the national politics acid test, because remember, there is also the broad-based arrangement, political arrangement between the ruling UDA party and the ODM party. So will this exercise actually, will that exercise determine a bearing on the national politics? Because you know that the ODM party and the UDA party, they were mounting joint campaigns for the parties for the candidates that are falling between, within the bracket of the broad-based politics. Well, we're going to see that in a moment. But right now, let me just join one of the voters that has voted or rather cast his vote in this particular exercise. Ndogo, nikiweza kukuuliza tu hapo uweze kusimama hapa, utaongea Kiswahili Kizungu? Kiswahili. Tazamia pale, utueleze unaitwa nani, umeweza kufika hapa saa ngapi na hali iko vipi kwako?
Okay.
Wacha tu nitakushikia mic.
Kwa majina naitwa Stanley Utieno. Naishi hapo Yugis. Napiga kura hapa Agoro Sare Primary School. Tayari nishapiga kura yangu. Kila kitu iko sawa.
Uliingia hapa saa ngapi kwenye kituo?
Hapa niliingia hapa at 4. 4 nilipata hapa.
Maafisa wa polisi walikuruhusu kuingia hapa 4 and kulikuwa na watu wengine wakati huo?
Watu walikuwa tayari, watu walishakuja hapa, watu walikuwa wengi na maafisa pia walikuwa hapa.
Okay. Unapofika pale kwenye lango lile, when you enter into the gate, unalakiwa ama what's the guidance? Unaambiwa nini?
Kwa gate hakuna mtu, kwa gate unaingia tu, kishafika huku ndio unaambiwa mali unapiga kura.
Kwa hivyo hii process ni wazi kwako, hakuna changamoto yoyote?
Haiko sawa, nimeweka mkono wangu tayari, nimeweka nikapata jina langu nikapiga kura. Hakuna shida yote. Iko sawa.
Wajua ni zaidi ya miezi 6 amjakuwa na mbunge hapa. Kwa hivyo shughuli ya leo ina maana gani sana kwako kama mkazi wa eneo bunge la Kasipul?
Eneo ya leo tunataka tukue na MP wetu, juu tumekaa vile MP wetu alikufa, tumekaa bila MP. Sasa tunataka tupige kura ndio tukue na MP, at least vitu zinaweza endelea vizuri.
Eneo hili haswa eneo bunge la Kasipul kumekuwa na visa vya upotovu wa usalama. Kuanzia tuseme jana na leo, umeona aje kuangalia na jinsi ambavyo tunaweza sema umeangalia hali ya usalama eneo hili? Jana na leo imekuwa vipi?
Kwanza jana niliona kama maofisa waliingia wengi kabisa kuliko vile tulikuwa tunapiga kura, lakini kwanza jana maofisa walikuja wengi kabisa na usalama iko sawa.
Na ujumbe wako kwa wapiga kura wengine ambao pengine hawajaweza kufika hapa, utaweza kuambia nini?
Naweza kuambia wakuje wapige kura, kwa sababu hakuna kitu ngumu hapa, ni kuja na unaingia na unapiga kura. Hakuna shida yote. Iko tu sawa kabisa.
Jana tukizungumza na waziri wa usalama Kipchumba Murkomen akiwa ameandamana na mwenyekiti wa tume huru ya uchaguzi na mipaka IEBC ambaye pia ni Erastus Ethekon, wakasema kwamba unapopiga kura, ukishamaliza shughuli ya kupiga kura, ufike kule nyumbani na usubiri matokeo kule. Wewe ushapiga kura hapa, sasa maelekeo ni gani kwako?
Mimi nilishapiga kura hapa, naenda kwa kazi yangu, naenda kufanya kazi yangu na ngoja matangazo sasa itafika.
Ujumbe wako kwa wapiga kura wengine ambao pengine tayari washapiga kura na wangetaka kubakia hapa?
Hapana, mimi naona kama ushapiga kura, kama una kazi uende nyumbani ukangoje majibu matokeo. Juu mimi tayari nishapiga, naenda kufanya kazi yangu na ngoja ndani atatangazwa ndio tukue na hivyo.
Amani ni kitu, au amani na utulivu ni kitu ambayo imehimizwa sana na IEBC. Chairman wa IEBC ni vile waziri wa usalama akasema kwamba amani na utulivu ni nyenzo ambazo zinafaa kutiliwa maanani sana. Wewe ujumbe wako kwa pengine wanasiasa ama wagombea ambao wanashiriki kwenye shughuli hii ni gani?
Hebu rudia tena.
Nauliza amani na utulivu. Waziri wa usalama jana akizungumza na sisi, pia ule mwenyekiti wa IEBC akasema kwamba wapiga kura na vile wanasiasa wanafaa kudumisha amani na utulivu. Wewe uko na yapi kusema kuhusiana na hayo?
Mimi nasema amani ni kitu mzuri, juu vile tulisikia aliongea, nataka tu watu wakuwe na amani, juu vita inakuwa mingi na vita ni kitu kingine si mzuri. Ni kwa tu kama watu wanapiga kura na ukishamaliza tunaenda kwa kazi yetu, ule mtu atatangazwa ndio atatuongoza, tutakuwa tu sawa naye.
Asante sana. Thank you for creating time to participate in this exercise and also for speaking to us. You can proceed with your normal routine. Thank you so much. Mike and Giverson, that is just one of the residents that have found their time actually to come and participate in this particular exercise. As you've heard from him, the exercise here is very smooth. You enter into the gate. Of course, there are security officers by the gate that will guide you into the area of voting. Once you get here, there are streams. Once you get here, the polling clerks will guide you. They go by the prefix of your name. If your name starts with letter A, B, or C, they will direct you to the streams where you will cast your vote. The process is very smooth. Actually, let me just point out how this exercise runs. Once a voter enters into the gate, actually, they will be guided as to where they're supposed to vote. That, of course, they come with their ID or identification document. After that, the voters will be identified using the KIMS kit. Once that happens, they will be issued with the voters as actually IEBC voters a ballot paper. That ballot paper has to bear a stamp of the IEBC to make it valid. Actually, once that happens, they will be guided into a booth where they will secretly mark into that box. Once that happens, they cast that vote into the ballot box. Once that happens, actually there will be an indelible mark that is used, an indelible ink that is used to mark to show that now you voted, and that completes the process. Now the voter is expected to leave the station and go back home and wait for the result, which will be declared by the returning officer. In this case, the returning officer for Kasipul is Rebecca Abuaka, who is actually will be she is based at the Agoro Sare secondary, that is, or at the high school, that is serving as the tallying center for this particular exercise. Although that will come at the tail end of this exercise later in the evening once voting ends, because remember the voting started at 6 and will go all the way up to 5 p.m. After that, the presiding officers and their DPO and their deputies will pick the ballot boxes that have been sealed and take them to the tallying center for collating and final tallying. And of course, after that, what we'll expect is a declaration of the winner of this particular race that has gathered actually 10 candidates, like I mentioned, 4 of them on independent ticket, but 6 of them have been sponsored by various political parties. And if I can just mention some of the candidates that are partaking in this exercise, we have Jesse Okello, that is vying to be the next member of parliament for Kasipul on an independent ticket. We've got Robert Ouko Ouma of the Labour Party of Kenya. We've got Isaac Kiche Abok vying on the Kenya Moja Movement Party ticket. We've got Rateng Okoth Kotiende vying on the United Progressive Alliance. We've got Ismail Omondi Koyo, the National Liberal Party, that is the sponsor party for that particular candidate. We've got Boyd Were Ongondo, that is being sponsored by the Orange Democratic Movement Party. And remember, that is the son of the late Charles Ongondo Were, who until his death was the member of parliament for Kasipul. We've got Robert Riaga Ajwang on an independent candidate. Philip Nation Aroko, also an independent candidate. We've got only one lady in this particular race. That is Linda Aoko Ouma, independent actually. And also the last one is Colin Sokeo, vying for this particular seat on the Movement for Democracy and Growth Party ticket. Well, 10 candidates. But if you look at the pattern of campaigns that we've had here for the last 2 months, this is a race that is being shaped by two particular candidates. We've got one, Boyd Were Ongondo, that is the son of the late Charles Ongondo Were, who was representing this particular constituency until his death back in April. He is vying on the Odium ticket, but he has a stiff competition from an independent candidate, that is Nation Aroko, Philip Nation Aroko, vying on this particular seat on an independent ticket. This particular exercise here in Kasipul is very critical, like I mentioned earlier. It is so interesting in the sense that we've got an ODM candidate. This region is majorly dominated by the Orange Party. The Orange Party has nominated, is sponsoring a candidate, and that candidate has been heavily campaigned for, especially those campaigns have been majorly led by the Homa Bay governor, that is Gladys Nyasuna Wanga. She is the national ODM chair. But then again, it's so interesting in the sense that the deputy to Gladys Wanga, who is actually, that is Joseph Oyugi Magwanga, who also served as the member of parliament for this particular constituency for 10 years, that is between 2013 and 2022. The guy has chosen, the DG has chosen to throw his political weight behind another candidate other than the ODM candidate. That is so interesting because this is going to shape the gubernatorial race in 2027 for this particular county. And also, like I mentioned, this has a bearing on the going forward in terms of relationship between the ODM and the UDA going into the 2027 general election. So this is quite an exercise that is so interesting in the sense that it has a bearing on the county politics and also the national politics. We will be here to observe that and actually bring our viewers up to speed with the unfoldings here. But like I mentioned, the exercise is running smoothly. 7 streams here at the Kasipul, 7 streams here. This is Agoro Sare polling station, and the exercise does so smoothly. We haven't had any security scare, but of course we will be getting in touch with the police commander for this particular sub-county, and we'll get to hear if any at all there is any security scare, though we haven't had any so far, because yesterday when the CS for Interior spoke to media, he said that there is a heavy deployment of police officers in this particular area, because remember, it is there at Kasipul where we've had the deaths of 2 people, that is during the campaigns, and that led to the IEBC imposing a fine on the 2 leading candidates for this particular race, a fine of 1 million each. And Murkomen said there will be heavy deployment officers in this region just to ensure that nobody tries to disrupt this particular exercise in whatever manner. Well, like I mentioned, the exercise is smooth, it's underway, and we expect it to go all the way until 5 in the evening when the exercise will close. We will be able to catch, or rather to bring you up to speed with every development, not just here at Agoro Sare, but we'll be able to move along at our other polling stations and see what goes on there. But for now,